everybody, and welcome back to the Trade Talks Live. I'm Roger Wakefield, coming to you with all kinds of great things about the trades. If you're in the trades, we have literally put together a great show to help bring you valuable information each and every day. We're going to end up bringing in some great sponsors to help us do some cool stuff. But right now, it's me and Squirt.
Morning, everybody. Henry Wakefield here, 20-year pipe fitter in the trades. Here to talk trades every day. Want to talk about yours.
You know, we love what we get to do. People ask me all the time, like, Roger, is it a lot of work to do what you do? And it is, but it's also a lot of fun. I brought Squirt in. He was estimating for a large mechanical contractor here in the Dallas area. And I kept trying to get him to come over when I had the plumbing company. Kept trying to get him to come over when I started social media. He's like, look, that ain't for me. I don't do social. I don't like social. Don't want to have anything to do with it. And things kind of changed. He got in here and he's like, you know what? This is actually pretty cool.
That's it.
So
It's been fun.
We have fun doing what we do. And this video is sponsored by Leak Pro. If you're a plumber or a plumbing company owner and you want to learn how to up your skills, up the services that you bring to your customers, go check out www.leak-pro.com. Welcome to, what is this?
Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday, baby.
Man, I'm ready. Let's go eat some tacos.
Let's go.
We're going to start off with national news and expanding skilled trades scholarships for veterans. Now, this is neat because we've seen a lot of veterans. We were both in the union. Randy came up through the union. I got into the union later, but became an instructor. And one of the neat things about it is that their VIP program, the Veterans in Piping, and just to see how they've got it set up where people can come in and do great things, it's pretty neat. But them helping set things up where they don't have to go to school for 4 years. They can bring them in, put them through a quick train welding program, stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
It is. And in the trades, we love to have veterans come into the trades. Love the way that y'all's minds are structured, the way things work. You think through the processes just like my mind does. And I love that. Like, it's huge. That's one of the first things that you learn is, look, you got to take step one to be able to hit step two. So you got to work through the process. And I think that's something that they teach really well in the military. Work your way through the ranks. And that's how the trades are set up too. You got to work your way through those ranks. Once you start climbing, you can climb quick with the right mindset.
And I love that because when I'm talking to people, I always tell them, look, trades people or military people transitioning into civilian life, I think the trades are their best freaking opportunity because if they've got anything on their GI building come in, that will supplement their pay while they're learning the trade. And I know this because we had a guy going through it and we're able to help him do that. But that will supplement it. But the skilled trade scholarships. So Squirt, talk a little bit about that because there's like $50 million in funding.
There's $50 million in funding for trade school programs, mainly for veterans and bringing them in. They are wanting this to become a thing that is becoming the new norm. You know, a lot of people struggle whenever they do come back from wars and things like that with something to do. Trades is a great place. We're not your white collar people. We are blue collar. We're a little rough around the edges. We can handle a little bit of grief because I came up through the trades and, well, you build thick skin through that some because we like to pick on each other, but it's typically in fun to make the day pass and trying to have a great time at work and cut up occasionally. Not horseplay too much because we don't want any safety issues. And we learned that a long time ago too. But being able to heckle with each other in these trades is huge. But it's also going to include some living stipends for veterans transitioning to those civilian careers, which is huge. Give you a place to live, put you up somewhere, be able to transition and get the time that you need to actually get started and up on your feet. And trades are huge because a lot of trades, you start getting paid on day one whenever you first enter. And for a lot of people like myself, that was one of the reasons that I chose the path that I did, because I couldn't just go into college and not earn anything. I had a kid on the way. And when you've got a kid on the way, you've got to have money coming in every week to be able to feed and clothe them kids. So I chose that, but it was a perfect transition for me, and it met all the needs that I needed to get through.
And what I love about it is, especially like the unions and some private training programs. Well, we know Western Welding Academy.
Yeah.
They can put a welder through in 6 months and train him to be a daggum good welder.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong, he may not be good at layout. He may not be good at pipe fitting. He may not be good at a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
But when it comes to burn and ride, he's good at it. And I love that because you can literally take someone that's transitioning, bring them in, put them through a quick start program, which we talked about the UA, it does have. And you teach them how to weld. And there's one of the big non-union contractors here in the Dallas area. They were really good about bringing apprentices in. You worked as a laborer or a grunt for about 6 weeks. If you showed up on time every day, you didn't leave early, you dressed the part, you acted like you wanted to learn, then they say, okay, we're going to send you to school for a week and you're going to learn to solder.
Yep.
Okay. That's it. You're going to learn to solder.
Yeah.
And they put solder joints in front of you all day, every day. And you practice, you test them, you practice, you test them. At the end of a week, you know how to solder. Now, you may not be able to put it together. You may not be able to clean it and cut it and measure it and lay it out, but they weren't worried about that. All they needed you to do is solder. So what they would do at the end of your week, you graduated, you got a denim shirt. So you got the company uniform now. It's got your name on it. And they'd send you a job where pretty much all you did was solder. And things like that make it really neat. But speeding up that process, it makes it where you can get in and make more money quicker. And it gives people, we all want to progress. And this is a quick way to set it up where it really does work. Now, the website today, you picked a good one. I love Milwaukee Tools.
I did. I know. And that's why I threw this one in and figured you could have a little fun here. We talk to Milwaukee a lot whenever we go to trade shows and things. Trade shows are coming next month, guys.
And we'll see them.
I'll be there. Check me out. It's going to be interesting. And if you see me, you will want a picture. We're going to have some good times.
Randy's been invested in toys. That's all I'm gonna tell y'all. But their website is great for trade people looking for new tools, looking for new resources.
Yeah. Product comparison. Like if you need a press tool, you need a new drill, go in here and compare the different drills to figure out which drill you need for exactly what you do. All the requirements, all the things like that. There's a comparison tool. You can run through and start weeding things out as quick as you want to, depending on the tools that you need for your trade.
And I need the biggest, strongest, fastest, most expensive, most powerful one.
Yeah, you just filter highest priced, and that's probably going to get you close.
Pick it. No, but I mean, I do. I love that.
Uh-huh.
Look, when I invest in tools, I don't skimp. And I mean, you know that. I've taught you very well.
They're gonna last.
Yeah,
is what I learned, because you don't want a tool breaking on the job and then you have to go get another one. You want your tools to last, because that's why you've got them in your truck.
And we talk about Milwaukee's one key all the time. Being able, when you're investing $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 for a tool, you want to know where that tool is. And with one key, you can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being able to track all your inventory and everything. If you've got different tools that aren't on everybody's truck, it's easy to track and know who had it last, who did what. Oh, they've got it here. Here's who's got it. Here's where it is. Geographically, you can find it, things like that. Also, these are great tools for DIY. Like at the end of the year last year, what tools did we buy for the house? Milwaukee power tools, because they're battery options. But it's also a professional grade solution for that, because what does everybody carry around the jobs? Always had Milwaukee's.
And I love when they do pipeline, and it's where they bring in tradespeople. The cool thing about it, they bring in all kinds of different tradespeople. They've got plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, landscape, automotive mechanics, general contractors. There's about 6 or 7 different areas. And, it's really neat because they probably bring in the same number of influencers in each group. So, I'm with the plumbers, and you're there for about 10 or 15 minutes listening to the plumber salesperson go through the pitch about the new tools, the new opportunities, different things like that. Then when your time's up, they ring a bell or whatever, and you shift to another section. Remember going from plumbing to landscaping. And I'm outside looking at these chainsaws that they have, mowers, blowers. And I'm just like, man, I wasn't even aware of all this. So it's really cool what all they can do. But to get in and see it, get your hands on it. You know, one of my first purchases when I got back home was the 1/2-inch impact wrench.
Yep.
Because they showed the progression of it over the years. Here's what it used to be, and they've got it, man, cut apart where you can see it. Then you look at the one from a few years ago, then you look at the one now, and it's like, wow, it's the same size body, twice as much power. And the cool thing about Milwaukee, it's the same battery. And I say that it's not true. The same battery will fit any one of the tools, but the batteries are getting more powerful, lighter, and smaller each and every year. But I still remember one thing they said is, look, we'll never change our batteries where we get away from the batteries that work. Meaning, if you've got a cordless drill from 20 years ago, your battery still works. Or maybe not that same battery, but the batteries that they have today will work in that tool. And I think things like that are just phenomenal.
It is. It's huge. And, they offer a lot of different cutting edge tools that, just like he was saying, he was unaware of all the landscaping side and all the extra things like chainsaws. I learned about that a while back because we were demoing some PVC on a project, and we did a bunch of corded chainsaws because it was so easy to use for demo. And it opened our eyes to a few other things that you can use tools for. And some of the landscape tools are great.
And the very first thing, we had a storm here probably 3 or 4 months ago now. Literally, you couldn't get down the driveway. Trees, limbs all over every place. And I pull up, I start looking around. I say, hey, I'm going to run down to the box store. I go down and bought a 16 and a 14-inch battery-operated chainsaw, knowing when I got back, I didn't have to wait to charge it. The batteries we had would just plug right in and start cutting. So we were able to cut it and clear it out and make things happen. So we love Milwaukee. Business growth. Marketing your business in underserved markets. Now, I love this because and I tell people this all the time, look, do me a favor. If you've never been on YouTube, jump over to YouTube, search the word plumbing. And look, when I speak at conferences, I'll tell people, hey, pull out your phone, go to YouTube and search the word plumbing. And I want y'all to think about that because business growth in smaller markets, I can compete on plumbing at a national, even a global level because of what I do on YouTube. And those of y'all that don't know, Google owns YouTube. The largest search engine in the world owns the second largest search engine in the world. The cool thing about that is when people go to Google and search plumbing, they start finding me too. But when you're in a smaller market, you could literally make content, make landing pages. We've got a deal that we're doing through Go High Level. Go check out Rogers Marketing Machine. Just Google it. You'll find it. It's funny how SEO works. But it helps you set up things to where you can market in your area. You don't have to own plumbing on a global scale. You need to own it in the town you're in. And if you can get found for plumbing, for tankless water heaters, for whatever it is you're good at, whatever it is you make money at, that is phenomenal. But you need to identify areas with limited access to skilled trades because this is going to help you. What could you specialize in your area that nobody else is specializing in? Because if you can do that, if you can say, look, remember when I was growing my company, I literally scaled it by working with real estate agents. I would go out and talk to them and ask them, have you heard of a sewer water test? And they're like, well, we've heard of a hydrostatic test. Like, well, that's a BS word. Nobody uses a hydrostatic pump to test houses. Right. And so learn how to talk to them, learn how to teach them, and you become their go-to guy. You're their trusted advisor. And then when they need a plumber, guess who they're going to refer people to? It works, guys. But you can use local advertising, community partnerships to establish a presence. Sponsor a baseball team. Put your brand on bus stop benches in your neighborhood. Yep. And if it's a little area, there may not be bus stop benches, but there's church Sunday socials. Be the guy that shows up with brisket and ribs and barbecue. You get to know people and then offer introductory discounts to get to know new clients. And we talked about a while back about the cards that we had made. It's a $25 gift card for Texas Green Plumbing. And it was branded and logoed and had all our information on there. We'd give it to our customers and say, hey, if you give this to someone and they call us and say you gave it to us, they get $25 off, but now we'll send you 2 more. So it was a great thing. It worked. It got us in front of a lot of new people. And I mean, you can have those cards made pretty cheap, but doing anything that you can do like that to get your name out in a smaller community, it does, it works.
That's it. And you can put a small sign in the door, in the yard. Like there's some neighborhoods I know, you hear about it. Oh, everybody's having their sewer lines replaced. Guess what? Try to throw a couple of signs up while you're replacing a couple sewer lines in that neighborhood. You're going to get a few more calls because with all the action going on, people are going to start getting worried and they're going to want to call somebody. If your sign's there while you're there, or your van, like we're always talking about vehicles here, have it looking good. They're going to want to call you.
That thing is a rolling billboard, guys. Whether you know that or not, you want it to look as good as possible. But I like the idea about the signs, and you can get the little, they're almost like the politician signs, you know? You can get those really cheap. I mean, you can get hundreds of them for not a lot of money. I like even the big flags, the big kind of curved banner that says, you know, sewer line replacement. Let people know what you're doing. Then they're like, man, you know, I wonder if we should have them come check ours out. There's a lot of different opportunities there. And another good thing too is door hangers. Get a little door hanger, says, hey, we're at, and leave it blank, Mrs. Johnson's house, doing plumbing today. If you've got a problem while we're in the neighborhood, we'd love to come by and talk to you, or just you know, see what we can do to help you. Put those on the 2 houses on each side and the 5 houses across the street. You'll be surprised how many calls you'll get off that. So now we're going to get into service work. And I'm going to let you talk about diagnosing unusual electrical problems.
Unusual electrical issues like intermittent outages or voltage drops can challenge even experienced electricians. This is like your power surges that are going on, things like that. Sometimes it's something within your home. Sometimes it's part of the actual grid and system itself. So some of these, unlike me, experienced electricians can struggle with this sometimes because it sends some inaccurate things. But a lot of the keys to figuring this out, you're going to want to inspect breaker panels for loose connections or any signs of overheating. Look for anything that's kind of burned up, any dark spots, things like that. Y'all have seen it. I've seen some burned up electrical panels, so I know what to look for kind of there. But you also want to test for grounding issues that could lead to unexpected surges. Because sometimes if the ground's just not quite getting right, that will create the surge itself. Just improper wiring kind of. Also, you want to use some advanced diagnostic tools like thermal cameras to identify hidden issues. It's something we talk about a lot in the plumbing space, HVAC space, all that stuff. Electricians need these too. Find some hot spots occasionally. Something could be arcing out somewhere that's behind that wall. You're going to be able to see it with a thermal camera. So there's multiple tools in the trades that can be used for so many different things. So don't just look in your line of tools. Check out what else is out there.
And guys, always think safety. Make sure that you're following steps and procedures, that you have a process. Electricity's one, look, that's why I'm not an electrician. I never wanted to die at work. But yeah, you can tell me I could drown, but you know what? I'll survive. But make sure that you're following these processes. It starts with a visual, but then have steps and procedures that you go through, but always think safety. Jamie Cofer says, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for your live feed for the trays. Man, we love what we get to do. Jamie, thank you for being here. Jamie also says, you want to make sure it's a company that stands behind their tools. Dude, I love their warranties. So yeah, I completely agree with you. Ever touch on jetting nozzles for plumbing? We do. And what part of Illinois are you in? I'll be up in Chicago here in a couple of months. And then Jamie says, I sold batteries for interstate. All batteries and Milwaukee batteries were the most consistent batteries. I love that. Could not compete with aftermarket for Milwaukee. They never change. Because and that's one thing they talk about at Pipeline is look, the battery you get today, the battery you get 3 years from now will fit the same tool. So it's amazing. How we doing? Good to see you in here. And yes, we're doing good. I hope y'all are doing great. TikTok, Instagram, love to see y'all over here. If you got questions or comments, please come on over, say hello. We'd love to talk to you. Now, this is going to be a good one because materials, equipment, and tools, MET. There's MEP, materials, equipment, or mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, but then MET, materials, equipment, and tools. And there's cutting edge tools coming out for HVAC stuff.
There are, man. Like one of the cool ones, wireless pressure gauges. I don't know how many times I've done a flush, done so many things to where you physically have to go and look at that gauge every time, because guess what? The controls aren't wired in yet. Nothing's wired yet. So like in the early stage in my trade, this would have been huge because I would have been able to digitally see what the gauge says from wherever I'm at, if there's Wi-Fi and things like that. But most of the jobs nowadays, there's Wi-Fi close by.
Okay, so field piece, I'm gonna give you an idea here. Why don't you build a tool, and if it's already out there and somebody knows about it, I want to hear about it, that stays hooked up to your refrigerant system on the high side, the low side. It always has remote thermometers on it. That way it can tell you your superheat, your super cool, all that. But you build that and program it to where it tells you based on the pressures, based on the temperatures, here's what's wrong, here's what's happening. And I'm telling you, I think that this could all be automated. So you talk about tools coming out.
Sounds like 2 TMP sensors.
Yeah.
Those are wired. Let's make it wireless. Boom.
Yeah, just get a projector on it. Now it talks to your thermostat inside. You look at your thermostat, and your thermostat says, hey, might want to change your filter out because it's struggling dragging air across it.
That's it. Control guys are going to become programmers instead now.
Yeah, but that's not a bad job to have.
Not at all.
Especially when, I mean, think about it, because guys, you do something like that. Now you log into the app, you check Miss Johnson's house. Miss Johnson needs us out there today. Her refrigerant level is low. It can tell you. It can talk to you. And it's not just plumbing. You know, we talked the other day about the tool that pulls, or it's not just HVAC, the tool that you can literally pull a water line through a yard.
Yep.
A lot of plumbers don't even know about stuff like that.
Nope.
And we talk to plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, and I talked to Dustin Stelzer last night, yesterday. Great buddy of mine lost his YouTube channel. Heartbroken, but he's trying to do the things to get it back. Hooked him up with Leron.
Good.
So man, I'm doing everything I can to help him. He's like, dude, you're so amazing. He said, you just always try to help. It's like, dadgum right. If I lost mine, I would hope somebody'd reach out and help me. But the tools for electricians, guys, electricians, they have more tools than plumbers do, which blows my mind. But you look at all this stuff and how you can use it, how you can play with it, and you've got to stay ahead. And I tell people every day when I talk to them, if you want to be in the top 5% of your industry, get up every morning and learn what's going on. Me and Randy are going to be smarter at the end of the year just by what all we talk about each and every day, the things that we get to hear a little bit about. And it's not that you're getting up to learn everything about everything. It's that now there's less that you don't know anything about. And that's a Warren Buffett thing. He says, look, I don't read books so I know everything in the world. I read books so there's less out there that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Man, when you look at it from that mindset, it's amazing. But I want y'all to think about that, because if you're not going to trade shows, if you're not getting up watching shows like this, I mean, literally, and I say get up, you could literally turn this on tomorrow morning and listen to it while you're in the shower.
Yep.
Especially if you've got the Kohler Moxie speaker that, you know, is your shower head. Sorry, I've got toys everywhere. I'm probably the only guy with the Bose surround sound system in my bathroom. But I love my Bose Wave radio.
He's got it in the toilet, in the
I
shower.
don't have the radio in the toilet, but I am thinking about installing speakers. But I mean, when you get up and study your niche, your trade, each and every day, you're going to get better at it. because there's more things that you're going to learn about. And it's not that you have to know everything about everything, but now there's less out there you don't know anything about. So if you really want to be good, if you want to be one of the top people in your niche, in your industry, in your trade, however you want to look at it, in your profession, try to become the best. Get up in the morning, study, learn about it, and say, look, what do I do to learn more about this? That's why I have every endorsement in Texas. Master MedGas, Master WSPS, Water Supply Protection Specialist, Master Multi-Purpose Residential Fire Protection System Specialist, MRPFSS or something. But guys, I did that because I wanted to know everything that I could about my niche, my industry, my trade. Y'all can do the same thing. And I promise you, do you think the people in the top 5% make more money than those in the bottom 5%?
Yeah, like that's why I learned how to do welding, how to get my certs. I needed to know what that welder was thinking and seeing every time that he goes to make a weld that I'm trying to prepare for them. I need to know exactly the feeling that I'm giving them. And I had an amazing welder that I could not give a perfect fit to. And it's funny because of the inspector one day, he kind of messed with me. He's like, well, man, I ain't never seen a perfect one from you. And I said, well, I always got to give him something to worry about. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you one. So the next fit was perfect. No variance anywhere in the whole thing. Guy comes, super inspects it. He double, triple checks everything. He's like, that's a perfect fit. I said, now watch. 2 minutes in, he's going to screw it up. Welder lit up, started going before he could finish that first quarter of a root, blew the side out, did all this stuff. I said, now, if he would have been thinking about, oh, this other side has that one spot that's real thin landing, or there's a little heavy of a landing, something, just anything, or a little wide, something, he would have never blown that out. But since it was a perfect runway, he couldn't do it. The inspector learned in, he's like, man, okay, you know your welder. It's like, I used to weld. If you've got something that you're worried about, that you're kind of thinking about, all this step, you're not going to overthink this process. If there's nothing to worry about, you're going to overthink every step that you take. So,
guys, this video is sponsored by Leak Pro. If you're interested in the most precise leak detection system for plumbers, it's here. Go to www.leak-pro.com or call 1-8888-LEAK-PRO. Talk to Squirt. We've got the best leak detection equipment system that there is, but we also have what I think is the best training system. We bring you in, we teach you how to find 11 leaks that we've got buried under the slab, and they're little bitty leaks. They're on the side, they're on the bottom, they're on the top. They're not all the same. And leak detection system's amazing because we learned something yesterday. Just because you can't see a pipe in a hole doesn't mean it's not there. And we literally took the Leak Pro, the Sidekick, stuck down in a hole, and because, man, there's just so much water. It's like, man, it's got to be here. We had talked to the previous homeowner out here, and he said, look, it's in that hole. And we had looked around, couldn't see it, couldn't feel it. It's like, look, it's not here. For some reason, I took the Leak Pro yesterday, stuck down in the side and squeezed it, and it was screaming.
Yep.
Loud. And we've got a dig crew. Thank God you can't hear the jackhammers because they were going a while ago. But we've got a dig crew out here trying to get things uncovered so we can get in there and fix it. So, guys, even us, this property that we bought, the outhouse, a lot of y'all have heard of it. And whenever we host parties here, hopefully y'all come and hang out. It's pretty cool, though. Matthew Haney says, hello to Craig L. Haney. And Jamie Cofer says, trade schools have programs to get the students their tools to start out. Klein has a nice program, Tools for Schools. Milwaukee and other manufacturers do work with vendors for the schools. Yep. And man, look, there's a lot of great people out there that do great things for the schools. So we love working with them. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, MEP. The cool thing about this is innovative approaches to fire fire suppression systems. And believe it or not, I've actually installed those too.
I know, and I thought this was interesting because of the new water mist system. Okay, because things in our homes cost a little more nowadays. Things in our offices cost a little more nowadays. The value is up. So instead of a head that just downpours a bunch of water and ruins every electronic thing that you possibly have, they're creating misting systems that will still drench everything and soak it, but it's less likely to damage what's in there. And that's huge for the back end of a fire actually happening.
You know, I like this because the main purpose of fire protection systems are to keep flashpoint from happening. So flashpoint is, I believe, at 1400 degrees, where everything in there is going to burn. But I did see something too on CBS Sunday Morning this last week, and I know we're talking about fire suppression. We'll get right back to it. A guy built a house that's non-flammable.
Okay.
The materials are non-flammable, metal studs, the outside coating, instead of it being brick or something, it's like a concrete board or something.
Okay.
But he's like, look, he said, look, I can't tell you this house is 100% non-flammable. He says, but I see no way that this thing can catch on fire. And it was one of the houses that they had rebuilt in California a few years ago after the fires. And I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's in the line of the fires or anything like that. But he said, when I build a house again, I'm going to do research and I'm going to build a non-flammable house.
That'd be awesome.
I think that's amazing. Now going back to the fire suppression system, what you're trying to do is keep it below 1400 degrees. That way, just everything does not become engulfed. I do like the flood shower heads or sprinkler heads, because mainly the people that get hurt are kids and elderly, because they're asleep, they don't wake up, they can't move fast enough, whatever the problem is. So I don't mind that, but the chemical mist, the water mist system, I love that idea. There's also dry chemical systems.
There are.
And those are great in places where it freezes.
Yes. And this is something huge. Like a lot of databases and things that I do, they kind of go with this approach. It can be messy. I've actually had to, I estimated a foam suppression system one time for a hangar where they were worried about things. And they're like, yeah, well, what if this happens? We're going to have to do this. Da, da, da. I said, well, you're really going to need a drainage system to send all that fire suppression stuff to, so that you can actually treat that water, because you can't just send it down the drain.
Right.
So it opened up this whole can of worms for them on that project. And they were like, oh, none of our engineers even thought about that. And it's like, well, you got to do something with the waste. Is it safe to feed down the normal drain? I wouldn't think so, but y'all are going to have to tell me.
You know, what's funny is talking about that. And I know it's going to get off fire suppression systems, which we turn left sometimes. But whenever I did E² Medical City Dallas Hospital's emergency room 2, we had a deluge system.
Yeah.
So it was literally outdoor rain shower heads, where if there was a chemical release at TI and they brought 20 people over and you need to rinse them off immediately, you stand them, and it's out in the parking lot. Yep. It's in a covered area, but it's literally like, hey, y'all stand here, and it becomes a rain system that floods and does that. So I love the fact that innovative approaches to everything is out there. But the thing about that, I don't know where that drain water was going to.
Correct.
Because if it's an emergency chemical, do you really want to put it in the water treatment system?
That's it.
So where's the work at? And you look at this every day.
I do. And, I've kind of bundled it all up. We kind of have talked about this over the last few weeks. Now we're getting near the end of the month. But there's a high demand in trades for infrastructure upgrades, Scott. And this, road and bridge repairs, water system overhauls, and green energy infrastructures. These are all things that we've kind of discussed on their own. But let's talk all the trades, and let's talk them all at once. The whole infrastructure is depleting. It's time to update it and upgrade it. And that's where everything is headed. Roads are getting bad. We need new roads. They've got to be fixed.
Bridges are getting bad.
Bridges are getting bad. They're old. They need to be fixed. Water systems are becoming inadequate for the population and the growth of the major cities. They're expanding more and more. Things like this. lots of water system overhauls are going to happen. Green energy infrastructure. We talk about EV vehicles in here a lot, hybrids, things like that. The current grid can't support everything that's coming for the future. So all these infrastructures are going to have to be upgraded to carry the new loads.
Sorry, I just saw toys on my mixer board here, and I'm like, okay, now I want to play.
Oh, yes.
So, not sure what this sounds like, but this is Roger with the digital voice modifier on.
We'll play with something later, see what happens. Sorry about that, guys. A squirrel. I love this, though, because you need to know where the work is. And we talked about this yesterday, the day before, about the national certification or reciprocity is really what they're looking at. How do we build reciprocity agreements between more states? So, guys, this is going to help us all because when, say, Texas does slow down, which I don't see that happening.
Oh,
Everybody's moving here, so
Yeah.
so we need to keep building. But here's my thought. Well, with everything going on, if an area does slow down, so, say it's Oklahoma. Now we've got reciprocity agreements now with I gotta think Oklahoma. I don't know if we got Oklahoma yet. I think it's Arkansas and Louisiana. But my thing is, if we had a national certification, when we're talking about high demands for the trades, guys, a plumber can say, look, I'm not making much money here in Dallas, Texas, but New York needs 300 plumbers and New York pays good. Hey, my license is good up there. I'm going to go up there. And I really think that this is something that we need in not just trades in the or not just plumbing, in the MEP industry. If you're an HVAC technician, are you going to tell me superheat and supercool is a lot different in California than it is Texas? I'm going to say probably not. Plumbing, it still flows downhill. Last time I checked, in all 48 contiguous United States.
unless I throw a pump on it.
Unless you pump it, yeah. And look, I remember doing the remodel job on First United Methodist Church downtown Dallas. I was
Oh.
standing outside with Rusty, and this was a big remodel job. Man, it was good because I found 3 major leaks that had been costing them thousands of dollars a month, and they had no idea they even. And so we're outside talking one day, and they're picking up kids after school or whatever. And him and I are talking. I'm waiting on a material delivery. And he says, Roger, he says, I feel like you can do just about anything. And I'm looking at him, and when I looked at him, I looked up and I see the steeple behind him on the church. I said, well, Rusty, I'm not going to say I can do anything, but you see that steeple up there? He said, yeah. I said, I can put a toilet up there and make it work.
Yeah.
He said, no, you can't. I said, oh, I can, but it's going to be expensive. But I mean, that's the way my mind works. I feel like, look, I can do anything. So I love seeing stuff like this, knowing that if there's work somewhere else, why can't I go there? Why can't I do it? So, Randy, how can tradespeople position themselves for this infrastructure type work if they want to be able to go travel and do different things like that?
I'd pursue certifications and build connections with any contractors that are working on these public projects, because a lot of it's all infrastructure involved. So it's going to be public projects, city involved, county involved, state involved, different things like this. Start getting the certifications that you need. Anything that you have to be on the job sites that you're unaware of, you need to study and research it.
So, Lori A. McNeil says, the voice of God. I did not claim to be God. I want y'all to know that. I would never do that.
Anyway, thank you, Lori. Good to see you in here. Here's the thing. There's so many opportunities out there, but you've got to prepare yourself to be ready for the opportunity. Opportunities come along every day. Do you recognize them, and are you ready to accept them and step into them? So now we're going to talk about instructor training, because to me, I love this, and trade school programs.
Mhm.
You went through a trade school.
I did.
I went open shop. So I just worked with Uncle Grant, Austin, Lynn, Rodney. I worked with all the plumbers that I knew. And luckily for me, I worked with some amazing plumbers, because when I got in the union, one thing they said, look, we can't complain about your work.
Yep.
It's like, no, I worked for some awesome plumbers. But I love trade school programs. I think it's a great introduction. It teaches people more. And once I became an instructor in the union, I understand, look, there's a lot of things that I wasn't taught book wise about plumbing. It was hands on. It's look, jump in, learn it. The school of hard knocks. You're going to get muddy. You're going to get dirty. You're going to fall on your butt. Get up, pull your jeans back all the way up, and let's go. But now let's talk about trade school program.
Well, so like even when I was in trade school program, there's something that we did. All of my math classes, you didn't use a calculator. You did everything with a pencil and paper because, oh, what if your batteries die in your calculator?
Okay, I was that instructor.
I
was the same way.
understand. It's 2024 though, because this dawned on me the other day when I was teaching my child some things. Guys, like, I don't even need a calculator
I got
anymore.
a supercomputer right here.
All I got to do is go, hey, Siri, what is blah? And that's it. I don't even have to type it in anymore.
And you talk to Siri like y'all date.
I do.
No, I know.
I
hear
do.
you.
It's okay.
I hear you.
Yeah, that's right. She takes care of me. It works. But because why did I have to spend that extra time just doing pencil and paper? Guess what? I've never had a calculator go down in my 25 years.
Does Siri get mad at you for not putting the seat down?
Never.
Really? Yeah. I may need to start dating.
May add it to your list.
Exactly.
But modernize everything. Like, don't be scared of what's coming. Step into the things that are coming. Do some hands-on training with all the smart tools, especially with all the Internet of Things that we have now. Everything connects to the internet. Use it. It is there for a reason. It was created for a reason. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. And it's going to be probably easier and quicker to learn in the big grand scheme of things.
You know, and I love this because I'm going to get on my soapbox here for just a second. I have been telling Lisa Hill and Frank Denton, look, we need to lower the amount of hours it takes to get your plumbing license. And it's for reasons like this. I get every time I go to a trade conference, which you've been on them with me.
Yep.
Apprentices come up and say, my instructors show your videos all the time. And that's information that wasn't out there. They can actually see a plumber doing something and then say, look, see how he did this? And they may say, look, I think he did it wrong. That's fine. There's different ways to do everything. But to know that they can go home at night and watch 10 hours of plumbing video and come in the next day a little bit smarter.
Yep.
I think that we need to find a way to cut the hours. And I know that pisses off a lot of plumbers in Texas that I even say stuff like that. They're like, look, I had to wait 6,000 hours. I had to wait 8,000 hours. Great. If you'd have gone to the library every day after school and studied plumbing, do you think it would have taken you that long? Because they don't have to go to the library, y'all. For those of y'all that don't know, a library is this brick and mortar building that was filled with books, which are kind of these things back here that have papers that you read.
Hey, I was going to say, with a good VR headset and some programs, I guarantee you in 1,000 hours, I could put that plumber in way more situations than he would be in that 8,000 hours. In that 1,000. Just in a day, in an 8-hour day, I can have him do underground. I can have him do top outs. I can have him jump in an industrial building doing some plumbing there. So many things can happen so fast with the way things are going. Step into that and use it to your advantage. Teach your guys the things they need to know. Put them in those, like confined space is one of the things I really loved, because if you get somebody that's kind of claustrophobic, you're going to find out real fast in that VR headset they are not the right person for that work.
Now we're going to move over to specialty. And I love this part because I go to Skills USA every opportunity I get. And we're talking about artistic and structural projects. Now, there's some great people out on YouTube doing things. I mean, I've seen some amazing welders building some really cool stuff. Mike Burgess used to build cool stuff. Loved watching the stuff that he'd do. But welding for artistic and structural projects is completely different. And when you go to Skills USA, it's so cool because you've got all the different areas. You got team areas, you got individual areas, you got all this. But the welders are mentored, they're different. They've got different things that they build. But one of the cool things they do is the artistic projects. And you walk through and look at this, and it's like, how do they think about this? How do they see this? And to get to see that is really neat. But artistic, you're talking custom furniture, you're talking sculptures, you're talking decorations around the house, all kinds of things.
You're talking plumbing a toilet and a steeple.
Yeah,
Same difference.
exactly. You may not want to pay for it.
Yeah,
but,
that's
but
right.
I completely understand. But then again, think about the national recognition. Wait, that's the church that has the toilet up on
That's
the steeple,
it.
isn't it?
Like, do something that sets you apart from everybody else. Like, that's the key to this whole thing. And like when you were talking about that earlier, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to play well into what we're talking about later. Be creative. Think outside of the box. There was a night I didn't want to weld pipe. I welded at work that day and everything. I was wore out. Told the instructor
When you got to school. Okay.
when I got to school, because we'd work a full day. I'd worked a 10-hour day that day, and then had to go to school for 3.5 hours and weld for 3.5 hours. And I told the instructor, I said, look, I'm not feeling it today. He said, look, you've got to be welding something. Okay. And I'm like, all right. So I hit up the scrap bin. I grabbed barbed wire. I grabbed chicken wire. I grabbed anything and everything that was out there. There was some old tin and sheet metal and stuff. I took all this stuff into my booth, carbon, plate, everything. And I started welding all this stuff together. But the cool thing about doing this, I was being artistic and creative, is I got to learn different metal thicknesses and different materials. Some weld, some don't. Some you got to adjust your heat to different things. So just in that being creative and not wanting to weld night, I learned more about welding than I really thought I was going to that night, which turned out to be huge because I learned a lot of little tricks, especially the thin metal. Try to weld barbed wire sometime. That's fun.
That'd be interesting.
It tries to disappear because it's just as thick as your welding rod. So it's very interesting. You got to set it really low and take your time.
Now, did you ever weld with aluminum, stainless steel, anything like that?
I did go to do stainless, things like that. I've never touched aluminum. I heard that's one of the toughest. I wasn't too worried about it. I wasn't trying to become that much of a specialty. I liked stainless a lot, really clean. It's durable, it's strong. You can actually sit there a little bit. And it just turns out so pretty.
You know, I tell you what, and, you know, first of all, I want to talk about how welders can expand into that. But I would think just having a welder at home, and anytime you see scrap metal on the side of the road, stop and throw it in the back of the truck
Just to see.
and say, hey, I'm going to go home and play with this. And I've seen some really neat people on social media take like old vehicles and go through with a plasma cutter and cut patterns in and just motorcycles. I've seen neat stuff. Just don't cut the gas tank. I'm going to throw that out there. But
Yeah,
some pretty cool stuff.
You may have a big boom. There's no telling. Yeah, a good way to get into this, network with some designers and things. People, the creatives, the artists, they can give you some direction for this. And in doing that, having somebody to feed ideas off of. If you are a non-creative, you're just a technical person, more just the weld guy, you don't want to do the thinking, you don't have to. You can team up with somebody else. I'm sure there's kits out there that you can buy all these parts and pieces and put together for some artistic sculpture things. Create something for your in your yard. Put it out there. People are going to stop and ask questions. Hey, where'd you get that? Oh, I made that.
Oh, yeah. They will
Oh,
stop
wait,
and ask.
wait. I want one. You made that yourself. Wait, that means there's not many out, right?
Well, look
I
at
want
John
that.
Malecki's woodworking channel.
Yes.
Started off making furniture.
Yep.
For himself and his wife and stuff like that. And then people were like, hey, I want one. He started growing there.
Yep.
And I mean, you never know what it can
Turns
turn
into
into.
something.
But I mean, he's doing amazing. It's pretty cool stuff. All right. So social media, we've been talking about welding. And I love this because we're talking about my buddy Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler
Saishi?
Saish.
It's yeah.
SASSE,
struggle.
something like
Yep.
that. Tyler Sasse. I love Western Welding Academy.
Me too. Guys, they have a training program up there, 6 months, I believe.
I believe.
gives you a place to stay and everything. It is a 100% weld school. You will leave there as a welder, and you can go in not knowing how to strike an arc. Hey, that was me day one in weld class. I had no clue what I was doing.
You know, let's talk about that because I love that you said that. People tell me about plumbing. I can't get into plumbing. I don't know anything about it. I tell people, and this is me honest on stage, whenever I'm talking about social media and they're like, yeah, I can't do that. It's like, okay, wait a minute. How many of y'all have a toilet, a lavatory, kitchen sink, anything like that at home? Well, of course, everybody laughs and raises their hands. Like y'all know as much about plumbing as I did when I started.
Right.
That was it. I didn't know anything about welding.
Yeah.
But man, you watch Tyler and it's like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah. Like one of his videos, how to weld a perfect bead every time. Now, guys, I'm not going to say watching one video and hearing it from one welder, it's going to happen. But guys, try to take advice from everybody that does it, because one person might drop a hint different than anybody else has ever said it, that switch just clicks in your head and you throw down a perfect bead every time after. But this video shares a lot of practical advice for improving welding precision, making this a must-watch for welders of all levels. If you're just starting, or if you're a seasoned pro that just wants to hear tips and tricks from somebody else. Welding, just like plumbing, just like leak detection, there is a process. If you learn the process and you learn how to take the steps in the right order and do the right things, you can master these things. That's what everything's about in this trade. You can come in knowing nothing and learn a lot to be able to do it and advance in the trade.
You know, and I like the way you said that. Even if you're an old welder, watch and learn. You've been at conferences with me. I sit on the front row. I take notes like crazy. And this is conferences that I even know stuff about, whether it's a trades conference, whether it's a social media conference. And always the social media conference is the one that it really blows people's mind.
Yeah.
Because they come up to me and they're like, Roger, you could have taught this session. It's like, probably. It's like, but you're up here taking notes like crazy. Like I took 3 pages worth of notes during this session. I'm like, why do you do that? It's like, because if I can learn one thing that I can do better, that maybe I don't know how to do, maybe I hadn't thought about it, or maybe it's like, okay, shoot, I know that, we just don't do it.
I was going to say, a lot
We
of the
don't implement
times,
that.
it's something that it's a reminder. It's something that, man, we were doing it, we were on top, but then we started bringing some other things in, so that part got left off. So glad they brought that up, because that's what's been missing. Yes, let me bring that back. That's going to help. That's going to add value to every note that I just took, because that one line I've implemented when I got back that made the huge difference.
And I'll teach you something cool that I do. When I'm going through taking notes, a lot of times I'll take notes. It's just like, yeah, okay, I remember that. And I want to write it down. But if they say something that I'm like, ooh, that's a game changer, I'll put like a big asterisk on each side of it. I mean, like 1/2 inch tall. That way, when I go back through my notes, I see the asterisk. I look down. I'm like, ooh, I wanted to start doing that.
So I now do it all on my iPad. So there's 4 asterisks at the beginning and 4 asterisks at the end of every important
You bet.
key line that I know I want to reread multiple times.
Yeah, it's like I can go back through and read my notes and just do those. Then sometimes I'll do arrows. It's like, okay, I want to come back to this. It's not quite as important as the asterisk, but it's like, I want to do this. And then if there's something I'm like, oh my God, that's the biggest golden nugget I've ever heard, I'll do asterisks and arrows.
Yep.
And that tells me, hey, this is the mother lode right here. So look at stuff like that and think, what can you do to learn? I love Tyler's channel. Go check out Western Welding Academy. Hit the subscribe button. Even if you just learn more about something you don't know anything about, it's really pretty cool to see what they do and how they do it.
And they even do some live streams where you can get on and ask them some questions about welding. They've got some good instructors that have been on there. I've watched a couple of them.
We ought to do that in plumbing or trades or something.
Maybe. I ought to think something about that.
I don't know. I doubt
We
anybody
may
watch
answer questions. I don't know.
We-
Hey, let's get into questions.
We try. Speaking of answering, hello, Miss Kristen Gerst. How are you doing? One of my favorite real estate people here in the Dallas area. She is just phenomenal. So good to see you in here.
Good.
Talking about questions. What is the most in-demand skill for tradespeople in renewable energy?
Electrical work.
And I don't
EVs,
want it to be
EVs,
electrical.
EVs. I know, but I hate to say, if we want to get to the Jetsons, we're going to need a lot of power.
How do you know that? How do you know that Jetson Skymobile didn't run on water?
Hey,
Up.
hey, if you're
I'm just
engineering the
saying.
trades, get on it. Figure out how to create that type of power from water.
I'm just saying.
It'll go far.
Look, and I always teach trades companies how to grow their revenue, how to do more with what they have. We've worked with real estate agents, where I met Kristen through networking, and slab leaks and leak detection. We did things different. But I always teach trades companies, and look, I have trades companies reach out to me like, look, we want you to coach us, train us, educate us, whatever it is. Glad to help. I love what I get to do. But my thing is, number one, are you priced right? But number two, what could you be doing? And if you're an electrical company and you're not doing solar panels, you're not doing wind turbines, guys, you know this stuff's coming, right? I mean, it's coming. It's going to come with a vengeance. If you're a plumber and you're not doing whole house water filtration systems, we've done halo systems. And once we figure out where these water lines are, we're going to be able to do halo systems for this building.
Yep.
And I mean, I love that idea because I mean, we may have to install 3 systems on here to get all the water filtered, but that's okay. But I mean, look at what you can do. If you're an HVAC tech, are you doing indoor air quality? If you're a roofer, are you offering solar? Are you offering standing seam metal roofs? Are you like Architectural Sheet Metal 101 doing cool stuff like that? What are you doing? In-demand skills for electrical. Look, solar and wind turbines are the future. We know that. Become the one in your city, your area that understands that better than anybody else. That is huge. And let me see, there's another one I saw. What's the easiest way to modernize a trade school program?
Start by incorporating new tools, new things. VR training, guys, that's tremendous. It's huge. It doesn't take a whole lot. It doesn't take any materials. It doesn't take any of that. It takes a little time, the hardware and the software, the programs to feed into it for the different simulations. We watched The Matrix and they dropped ourselves into this training system. That's what our VR's headed to. We don't drop in per se, but put it on. You can actually do all the things. It feels real. Like your brain's going to think it's real. You're really doing these things, even though it's all digital. But incorporating some things like this into training is huge, and it's going to be able to teach faster because you're going to be able to feed those situations quickly. If they screw up that solder joint, guess what? They hit reset and start back at square one again. It's not, let me clean and prep some more stuff so that I can try again. No, hit reset and go again. Here we go.
That's pretty cool. And I love it because you got to make training fun. You've got to gamify it. Put challenges out there. Give them things to do. Do some really cool stuff. It works. It really does. And the more fun you can make it to learn, the more they're going to enjoy it, the more participatory they're going to be.
That's how we get these youngsters into the trades. Make it as fun as we can. I loved having some fun on the job. And I can remember whenever horseplay became a big deal. Oh, no more horseplay on jobs. And I was like, man, we're trying to have fun, but then we had to change the way we had fun on the jobs. And that worked out amazing for the safety aspects. But creating a fun place, especially a fun place to learn, that's huge. And it's going to lead the way.
Pretty neat. Squirt, tell us about Leak Pro.
Man, I'm Henry Wakefield, manufacturer of Leak Pro. We build the best leak detection system out there for professional plumbers. It's all acoustical. I build 2 pieces of equipment, the probe mainly for your outdoor leaks, the sidekick mainly for your indoor leaks, because that aluminum rod really eliminates the slab when you're actually listening for leaks. If you want to find out any more about us, come check out the website at www.leak-pro.com. You can book me for a call. We can sit down and do a Zoom meeting, or give me a call at 1-8888-LEAK-PRO, and we can discuss anything you want about it.
Yeah, and guys, the training center is the most phenomenal thing about it because you're going to come in, you're going to learn to find leaks, not just on the water lines with the Leak Pro equipment, but we also go ahead and teach you how to find them on the sewer line. And that is huge. Check it out. Go to www.leak-pro.com. Like you said, give Randy a call. 8888 Leak Pro. Thank you all for being here today. I really do appreciate it. Colton, thank you for all your help. And Alex, I think you're back there with him today to help make things happen. I just want to say thanks to each and every one of y'all for being here. TikTok, Instagram, thank you guys. I see some of y'all are still hanging around here. So I want to say thanks to y'all. I do appreciate y'all being here. If y'all ever got anything you want to say, please jump over to YouTube. Go to the Trade Talks 2.0. We'd love to hear from y'all. Guys, thank y'all very much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you, and Squirt. Thank you for
Thanks.
everything you do.
Hope to see you tomorrow.
All right. Bye, guys. Guys, thank y'all.